Cool.
Thanks.
So, welcome.
Emily?
Okay, so I'm Emily. I'm the orientation intern this summer. I graduated from Wingate in May, but Carrie let me stick around a little bit longer before I go to UNC Charlotte to get my master's in educational leadership. So I picked Wingate because of the small campus size and the family feel. And I thought that it would be the best school for me to succeed at because I knew that I would be able to build relationships, which clearly I have. And I definitely would not be moving on to higher education like I am if it wouldn't have been for the faculty and staff at Wingate. So definitely a good move on my part.
All right, and Hope.
Hi guys, I'm Hope. I'm a junior political science major. I am one of the student directors of orientation. I came to Wingate because as soon as I took that first tour of the campus, I fell in love. It was exactly what I wanted, and I happily have not looked back since. I am all over campus, and I absolutely love it here.
Awesome. So like nothing that we do now is normal. So we're going to have this Q&A very virtually. And so we're joining you from all over the place. And so that's the cool thing is that, you know, you get to be where you are and we can have a good conversation today. So this is just some rules for today and how it'll go. Please keep your session on mute. If you have questions during that time, please drop them in the chat. My Paul leaders are monitoring the chat. And so if you have questions or I haven't cleared up something good enough, or if you want to expand on what I've said or someone else has said, just drop that in the chat and they'll alert me that your questions are there and we'll make sure to get those answered. So just drop them in there at any point in time. We won't answer individual questions about your situation just for privacy reasons. So we'll talk in very generic terms, but if you have a specific question that you're struggling with or you can't seem to find an answer for, I've dropped our phone number and an email address in there. So please email us after the chat and we will make sure to get an answer for you, or you can talk to your Paul leader too. So our Paul leaders are here to give you some student perspective. There are some questions that were asked that seem more student focused and I'm not cool enough to answer those. So I'm going to hand it over to the cool people who can answer them and give you a better scenario for that. So that's what they're here for. This session is recorded and will be live on YouTube. So if you missed an answer or mom has nagged you to get an answer for something that we did in here, you can share the YouTube link with mom and she can get the same answer that you got here. But I'm sure we don't have any mothers that love us enough to know what we're doing all the time. So with that being said, we're going to start out with our first question. All right. Do I have to have all of my checklist items done before I arrive on campus? This is a simple answer, but a hard answer. So yes, your checklist is meant to be completed before you arrive in August. Now, some things you may not know until later on. So for example, you may not know your vehicle until August, or you might not know, I'm trying to think of another example, you might not pay your bill until August 1, which is when they're due. So some of them may not take place right this second, but all those things need to be completed before you arrive on campus. I promise you, if you do, it will make your day a whole lot easier. If you come and you haven't done any of your health forms, or you still haven't taken care of your financial aid or your payment, you will be subject to standing in long lines. And that, unfortunately, is just kind of the downside of not being able to get things done ahead of time. So please make sure you're taking care of those, especially the ones that have due dates on it. So at this point, the housing application is past due, but it's still open, so they will house any student regardless. But we're coming up on your health records being due. And so you want to make sure you're starting to get those in place ahead of time. Do any Paul leaders have on any feedback about how you got your stuff done and how it affected you when you moved in?
I will say one thing that came up several years, like the past few years that I've noticed, a lot of incoming students won't be able to get a physical prior to the date because of insurance purposes. You have to wait 365 days. So if that's the case, I would go ahead and email the health center and call them if you need to and let them know that that's the case, and they'll instruct you on whether or not you should submit it based on how much later you'll have to wait or what steps to go about from there, because I know that's an issue that a lot of students face.
Yep, that's a good one.
Another thing of why it's so important to turn your stuff in, especially the health requirements, on time or pretty early, is that if you turn it in after the due date, they may not go through it yet. And so when you come to check in, it might still show as missing. So you'll have to wait in those long lines. So be sure to turn those in on time so you can avoid any misunderstandings or any sort of explanations that you may have to give.
I just have to say that I forgot something one of the times, and it was on move-in day, and so I went to my dorm. I was so ready, and then I had to go and wait in those lines. So it really is best to double and triple check everything, because it was handled efficiently, but there's still hundreds of people moving in that day. So just get it done as soon as possible.
Agreed. All right. Next question. Sometimes when I try to complete something on my checklist, it says incomplete. Why is that? So our checklist is a lot of behind the scenes work. Basically, we've tried to make it easy for you to put everything in one place where you can find your housing application, your parking, your business office stuff, your financial aid stuff. But all of our people behind the scenes are running these reports individually. So it does take some time, one, to review your information. Sometimes our health center can be backed up, at least 3 weeks, because they have to hand review every medical form that comes in their office. So that does take some time. Sometimes we don't upload or update your status until once a week. So sometimes you may have submitted it on Tuesday, and we do our uploads on Tuesday morning. And so you may not see it until the following week. Doesn't mean it's incomplete. You might just need to wait a little bit of time to make sure that we do have that fully completed for you. So for the most part, it's just a lag in the processes that kind of run behind. It's not necessarily your fault. But you're always welcome to email or call the orientation office. And we can either get you to the right place to verify that stuff has been done, or we can make sure that it's done from what we can see. But again, it goes back to try to take care of this stuff as soon as possible. Don't wait until August to try to complete the things that you can go ahead and be doing now, because we can troubleshoot any issues now or any additional forms that you need. But it might be harder if you wait until August and move in, and then we're trying to fix them. So yeah, that's just important to think about. Any Paul leaders have any feedback on that? That's relatively new for y'all.
I think the only thing, I just think the only thing with that is to not wait until the last minute to do your stuff, because with that turnaround time that is sometimes necessary for it to change from incomplete to complete, you don't want to turn it in the day before it's due and then think that it's done but not really have it done, and it just causes a mishap. So it just reiterates doing it in a timely manner.
I also just want to say we're also dealing with that right now, so don't think that y'all are the only ones oh, only mine's not changing. Everybody's learning this process right now, so we're all in the same boat. So don't worry, it's probably in. It's just taking a bit of time.
It's brand new, and so we're working the kinks out, and so as we kind of progress with the system, it'll get much better, much user-friendly. All right, next question. Emily already answered this one, but we'll reiterate again. Would a student physical for the past year count as a physical for this ongoing year? Yes, as long as it's been within the year from the date of starting classes. So classes start, I believe, on the 24th. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So as long as you've had a physical in that year time frame, that will work. So you can just actually have your doctor submit your medical records with a copy of your physical to the health center. So again, that alleviates that insurance question of, hey, I can't have another physical because I've already had one. You don't need to. You just need to make sure that you just have that information forwarded to our health center so it can count for this year. If you don't have a doctor right now currently doing physicals, I know that some students express concerns about COVID-19 and being able to get a doctor's appointment. We have extended the deadline for physicals to July 15th. So if you can't get in right now, hopefully in the next couple of phases or weeks you can, and we have extended that deadline to July 15th. Worst case scenario, our health center can do it the day that you arrive on campus. Kind of awkward, and we want you to do it beforehand, but if you have to wait until you get here, our health center does on-site physicals the day of move-in, so we can take care of that for you. All right, so someone please explain to me what the Title IV form is, if possible. Explain the outcomes if I were not to authorize it. So on your checklist is a form called Title IV authorization. And so what Title IV authorization is basically your financial aid or any funding that you receive from either the federal, state, or university. So basically this form is just kind of telling you what we've given you, what you've opted into. It doesn't matter if you authorize it or not. We're still going to issue the funds to you, but it's more of a measure that you know what these funds are and what they are for you. So it's a really educational piece for you, and make sure that you understand what you have opted into and what you have authorized. All right. I think we might have a special guest. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
I don't know how special the guest is. Can you hear me, Carrie?
I can, Dr. Brown. Welcome.
Hey there. How are you guys? I'm Rhett Brown. I graduated from Wingate twice. Once as a college in the 80s, and then in 2000 with my MBA. And I've had the real joy and pleasure of serving as the president of the university since 2015. So I'm just finishing up my 5th year. And so just a real honor to serve my university. And I just wanted to add my welcome and say hello and let you guys know you're in good hands with Carrie and her team here in the orientation process, and that we're looking really forward to having you this fall. Our plans right now are to have you on campus on our regular start date. We're still finalizing plans for what the whole semester might look like, but we think we'll be here, and you know, we'll privilege certainly your health, but then also try to add on top of that the best possible college experience that we can provide. So, you know, you guys are following this just like we are. It seems to change week to week. And so I'd ask for your patience and understanding and flexibility. And that's probably not a bad life skill to have anyway. So let's just consider that part of your education. What else would I add? Sorry for those of you who are we're supposed to be finishing your high school senior year and going to commencements right now. You know, that's a really crappy way to end a high school career, but let's hope it's the beginning of something really good in the next phase of your life. So let me pause there. Carrie, is there anything else you'd have me add, or any questions that have come up that would be good for me to answer?
I'm going to put you on the spot, and I want you to tell our first year students, what's your favorite place to hang out on campus?
So I actually hope to be heading there in an hour or two. We have some fitness trails that exist between the soccer complex and the softball complex, and a lake we have. It used to be a really nice 9-hole golf course back in the 60s, and now it's a really good cross-country course. So we don't have a golf course anymore, but it's a good place to go and walk. And on a sunny day like today, And just given all that's going on in the world, I think my emotional health could use it right now. So in a few hours, I plan on putting on my shorts and my sneakers and put in my earbuds and head out for a little forest bathing for an hour or so.
Don't blame you. All right, last question and we'll let you go.
Sure.
If you could go back to first year student Rhett, what would you tell him?
Good question. So I was the first in my family to go to college. None of my parents or grandparents, or I was the oldest. And so I didn't know what to expect. And I was frightened. I was literally afraid of failing out. And to think that now I'm a college president, 40 years later? No, that's too many. 35 years. I'm 55, so 18 minus 55. I was an English major, not a math major. Well, 37 years, so close to 40 years. And I think what I would do would just tell Rhett to relax, that it's going to be okay, to work hard, enjoy it. I heard I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it was a faculty member at Yale who teaches the most popular class there. And it's called the Science of Well-Being. And one of the things she talked about in terms of being happy and content, one of the things was school and grades. And she said what a blessing it had been actually this spring for students to just think about pass-fail, and that she thinks some of the best learning that her students have had occurred this spring simply because grades weren't the goal. It was to engage with the subject and enjoy it and just learn and grow as much as you can. So I think that would be my advice. You're going to be great. It's going to work out. You'll find your path if you don't know it. I certainly did. And I would just enjoy it and enjoy the learning and do things that you like and you're interested in, and try not to stress about it too terribly much.
I think that's the perfect answer. You did great.
All right. Well,
thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Good to see you. Y'all take care and best of luck. We'll see you in the fall.
Bye. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye. Thanks, Carrie. I hope that my leaving doesn't disrupt anything. So good luck with the IT.
Thank you. All right. Let's get back to our questions. That was awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed him dropping by. I think what I love the most about Dr. Brown is he's so genuine and he's always there for the students. And so it's great to see him here today, and I'm so glad he came. That's awesome. All right, so let's continue on with our questions. So when I try to submit the Title IV form, it says the session has expired. How do I get it to turn in? Likely when something says your session is expired, it usually means that you have logged out for some reason. Either you've timed out or that you haven't had the opportunity to log in recently. So what I would probably say is close out of everything, make sure to refresh your screens, and then log back in again. If that still gives you trouble, you can email the orientation office. Again, that orientation@wingate.edu. And we can help support you and get that fixed for you. All right, where could I find my ID number? I don't know what it is. So, great question. So your ID number is actually on your initial email that you got with your Wingate email and your username and your temporary password. So on there is also your ID number. But once you're actually a Wingate student, you can find your ID number another way. Does any one of my staff want to tell them where they can find their ID number once they're on campus? Madison?
It'll be on your student ID card. It's like right on the front. It's impossible to miss. And there's it'll be honestly around everywhere. Like everywhere you have to sign in, it'll be there. If you log into the library, it shows up on the top of your screen. So
yep, it's super handy for you to know. I think everybody would reiterate, you need to know your ID number. You're going to be asked multiple times. So if you don't know it, find it on that email and start memorizing it now, because you definitely will need it for everything you do on campus. All right, if you're commuting, are you able to eat on campus by just paying for it? Yes. Our dining hall, as well as most of our dining facilities, accept cash, credit, debit, so you can pay while you're here on campus. Commuters also have the option of purchasing a meal block. So if you think you're going to be on campus pretty frequently during meal times, you might want to check out with our business office about what meal options and meal plans are available for you. So you can buy block plans like 25 meals, 50 meals, 75 meals. And so you can use those throughout the semester instead of always carrying cash or having a card on you. You can just swipe your ID. And that way they'll just use your meal credits. All right, I'm going to put my team on the spot. What's your favorite place to eat on campus?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I like the sushi place in the Klondike.
Oh, bento, 12 out of
Yeah,
10.
The calf is really good on Chicken Bowl Wednesday, though. I will say I won't pass that up. Or wouldn't.
Specialty days that they have, like the surf and turf days and things like that, definitely are days to go.
Yeah, they do a cook-off day where they bring in local chefs and they'll all do like these fancy meals and stuff, and you just get to try it. That's always cool.
All right.
Definitely a lot, so.
What about coffee? Where's your go-to for coffee on campus? Are you a Starbucks or an Einstein person?
Starbucks for sure.
Einstein. I love Caribou coffee, and that's what they serve. I was very excited freshman year when they started serving that, so Einstein.
I know Emily's a Starbucks person. She brings it in every day. That's awesome. See, case in point. All right. Next question. For the academic advising sessions for majors, is there a set time? Great question. So a lot of you probably got an email this week from Chris Ziegler, who is our Assistant Director of Academic Advising. And so in there, it asked you to register for your academic advising session based on your major. So you're registering for that day. Once you register for that day, it will alert the advising staff, and they will then send you a Zoom link with a specific time. So you will be meeting in small groups of no more than 8 people. So you'll be meeting with 8 students. They're coming in just like you in the same major. You'll be meeting with a faculty member in your major, and you'll be meeting with an academic advisor who has experience with your major. So it's kind of a whole different kind of vibe for our academic advising sessions than in person, but it's super important that you attend. They're going to talk to you about what your first year classes are going to look like. What does GPS mean? Why do I need to take it? If I'm transferring in this credit, what that will transfer in as. A lot of good advising conversations are going to happen. So I highly, highly encourage you to attend your advising session for your right major. If you are an early college or international student or a transfer student, there is a specific registration form for you, and you will meet one-on-one with an academic advisor. So we recognize that there are some challenges with those incoming credits, whether it be international credits or credits from another college. And so we want to make sure that we give you the one-on-one attention to make sure you understand how to navigate those, what your classes will look like, what that transition from either early college or UNC Charlotte or wherever you came from is like here at Wingate. So those will be scheduled on a one-on-one basis. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. I'm going to put my Paul leaders on the spot, but tell me, what do you think about your academic advisor? Are you close with them? Do you love that relationship? Has it been a positive thing for you? How has advising kind of helped you?
I was actually going to comment on that. So I'm glad you asked that question. My advisor was great. I actually switched majors after my freshman year, and I can say that both of my advisors in both areas were fantastic in helping with the process of changing my major and guiding me. I mean, I graduated on time. I had everything taken that I needed to. So definitely utilize your advisors because they're there to help. And most of the time, it'll be a professor that you have several classes with. So definitely build on that relationship. It will benefit you the most.
My academic advisor, I did change it. I didn't change my major, but I changed my academic advisor because my first one was in the department, but not the major. The academic advisor I have now, I absolutely love talking to him. He controls a lot of my life on campus. He's also the faculty advisor for a club that I'm president of, so I see him a lot. So I love my advisor. He talks me through a lot. We've been emailing all summer, just making sure I know what classes to take, that I'm ready for this next year.
Awesome. So that advising relationship is super important. Please make sure that you always keep in touch, you stay in contact, all that kind of good stuff. Madison, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so advising for my major actually looks a little different. For all music majors, if there are any in here, your advising is going to be all freshmen have the same academic advisor first semester, then you split into your major, and then if you're a performance major, your academic advisor is who your voice faculty is or your head of department. So you could potentially have a different advisor every semester, but so even if like you're not super sure of like, oh, I don't really know this advisor, it's still important to get that relationship with them and send that email and be like, hey, I'm in your advising, like I'm one of your students that you'll be advising this semester, and just really get to know them. So, because they do really help with your success at Wingate.
Totally agree. Awesome. All right, next question. When will we get rooming assignments? This has been a hot topic this week. I've gotten so many emails about this. So housing applications closed on the 29th. And so our Residence Life office is working super hard to make housing assignments. So we still leave the application open. So if you haven't had a chance to do it yet, make sure you go on there and do that because that helps them match you with a potential roommate or know if you want to live in a living learning community, what your habits are, so we make sure to pair you with the right person. So as far as housing assignments, they are looking at early July for those to go out. So you will get an email that will redirect you back to your portal. And so in your housing portal, your roommate's information will be on there and contact information and where you are living. So all that information will be updated, and they're scheduled to do that early July. So hopefully by that time we'll know more about what our protocols at the university will be, so we can also share that information with you as we get ready to move in for August. Another great question, how is class registration going to go? So it's two parts. So the first part is you're going to meet with your academic advisor and a faculty in their small groups. So that's part one. Part two is our academic advising staff is going to look at your SAT and ACT scores if you have those on file. They're going to look at your high school transcripts. They're going to look at your math placement scores and any other information such as transfer credits, AP credits, any of that that you provide us. And so our academic advisors are actually going to build your schedule for you. So you won't have to worry about coming into campus and registering or trying to do it on your own without a lot of support. Our advisors are going to take care of that for you. So they're scheduled to release those in early July as well. So you will get an email that says, hey, your schedule is now available on WinLink. And so you'll be able to go directly to WinLink and see your schedule, see who your professors are, what time it is, and then your schedule will be loaded into our virtual bookstore where you can start purchasing your books directly from there. So we'll take care of all that for you. If you have questions about your schedule once you get it, you are welcome to reach out to an academic advisor and make any changes or ask any questions. We want this to be a good schedule for you, a good starting point for you. We want to make sure we give you the best schedule possible to be successful. So just hang tight. It should be in early July that those will come out. I'm going to pick on my team again. And so tell me what one of your favorite first year classes was.
Mine was Psych 101, and the professor I had is no longer at Wingate, but that was the class that was a turning point for me on changing my major to psychology. So definitely make the most of your first year classes, because a lot of them are like, I don't even know what's the word?
General education. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So most of them, a lot of like, it's going to be primarily freshmen. You're all going to have to take similar classes, but make the most of those, especially if you're on the fence about a major, and that should help lead you a certain way.
Yep, Madison.
I'm trying to think, just because my first year classes are a little different. What was it? A class I really enjoyed. I actually liked GPS 110. That's Introduction to scripture and stuff. I was never like super sure on that topic ever, because I'm not what you call a religious person. But it was cool because you have people from all different areas all learning about this class, and you also read stuff from like the Torah, the Quran, and you really get the global perspective of scripture. So it's really cool.
Awesome. All right. Next question. What is one thing you didn't bring for your dorm that you wish you had or felt is a necessity? I'm not going to answer this one. I'm going to turn it over to my team.
So for me, this was kind of random, and I honestly would have never thought to bring it, but I had to go get it. A little step stool, or like an ottoman or a ladder or something, because I lived in Old Canton and I had my bed on the highest setting so you could fit the most under it. And in those dorms, there's shelving above your closet, and I couldn't reach anything. So, and it was hard to get on my bed. So a little like ottoman thing was cool.
I second the Old Cannon step stool. That is definitely necessary, because trying to jump on top of your bed for the first week does not work.
Mm-hmm. I also think like the drop cords and extension cords are great as well, because there is plenty of outlets in the dorm, but they might not all be in the most practical places for what you're needing. So if you want your phone right beside you so you hear your alarm to go to your 8 a.m., I would suggest those as well.
Yeah. Another thing that's kind of underrated, you're going to want a lamp for your desk, because your roommate isn't going to want the overhead lights on, and say you're a late person and you want to do homework in your dorm. It's hard to work in the dark, so a desk lamp, of course, extension cords. Another thing, just bring something like decor, like just like a little wall hanging or something that can be hung up with 3M hooks, because it's just, you want to make it your home, you know? So, yeah.
Going off of like roommate suggestions, I would definitely say headphones, AirPods, something that you can block everything out with and also not be bothering your roommate, because even if you and your roommate are best friends, there's going to be times where you want to watch something on Netflix on your laptop and they're studying for a test, vice versa, and it's both of your living spaces. So try and just be as friendly and easy to live with as possible. So
I would also say bring as much storage as you can, be it for books.
Oh, we lost her.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, going off of storage,
Yeah.
I second that. And
Definitely.
oh,
kind of.
It's the masters for like vice versa. So. Yeah.
Oh. We missed you, Hope.
Did I disappear?
Yeah.
You disappeared.
Okay. It still showed I was on here, but I figured I was gone for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but
This is the best
definitely what
one.
Hope said. Storage is a necessity. Like, I think it's something that, like, for sure you're going to need and want extra room. Like, just when you think you have enough room, you don't. You're going to need even more room. I know some people have emailed our office and asking if our bookstore sells like dorm kits. They sell like a version of it. And so basically it's kind of a bedding package that they sell. And so it's kind of like a big bundle of everything that you need, the sheets, the comforters, the pillows, like everything's included in there. We have linked that on our Canvas page on NSO 100. So if you haven't been on there, I would encourage you to, but you can go directly on there and they will have a catalog of information that you can order that information and get it shipped directly here to Wingate. So you don't even have to have it shipped to your house and bring it here. You can have it directly sent to your room.
I just want to say I use the OCM website to get all of my bedding stuff, which is this website the school offers. I didn't have any problems with it. I felt I was honestly over-prepared with the package I got, but with all the bedding and towels and everything, just having it put literally in your dorm room so you can just unpack when you're there, it was pretty helpful. It also makes sure that everything fits the bedding so you don't have to worry about that, or fits the bed. So
Another thing with command strips and command hooks, and make sure you get one for like your towel and your shower stuff that gets wet, because you don't want to like put the wet towels into like your closet or anything. So make sure you bring like a command strip or something to hang your wet towels on.
another thing, shower shoes. You're gonna want that for the freshman dorms because they are hall restrooms. So shower shoes, very important.
Agreed. All right, next one. I think we kind of covered this one. The biggest thing you recommend, I think that was probably answered in the last one, but if this is your question and you want us to expand on it, let us know.
Jerry, I actually got a question.
Yeah.
So if I have leftover funding through my scholarship, grants, etc., am I able to access those funds to purchase textbooks?
Yes, you can. You can apply any additional funds from the books, or from your financial aid to the bookstore. It'll actually automatically appear on the textbook site, so you don't even have to do any work. So it'll appear on there. All you have to do is go buy your textbooks on that online site. It will deduct it from your financial aid, and you don't have to pay out of pocket for that if you do have a refund. If you question if you have a refund, you'll be able to see that on your billing statement, and those are going to be mailed out next week, sometime the second week of June, for those that are looking at a recording. So you'll be able to see that information on there. Good question. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. How do I know that my final transcript has been received? Great question. You should reach out to your enrollment officer. So the person that you started out contacting before you came to Wingate and officially deposited, you can reach out to them and verify that they got your transcript. Orientation can see a little bit, so we can help you out with that as much as we can. We may end up transferring you over to admissions. So you may just want to check in with them first. So you can email them at admit, so ADMIT, at wingate.edu. And so they'll be glad to help you out with that. But we do need your final transcripts as soon as possible. That is a critical piece to scheduling. So if you have not requested your final transcript, please make sure you do that as soon as possible.
And I know that there are some schools that are postponing sending out transcripts because of everything going on and because of whatever grading system that they are doing, they're having to kind of work through. If that's the case with your school, I would recommend emailing the school and letting them know that that you might not get it in by the deadline, but it's gonna come as soon as your school.
Oh, bless her. We know she's here in spirit. But she's right. Yeah, you need to go ahead and request those as soon as possible. Okay, is there anything I can do before I go to Wingate to better myself or when I arrive on campus? Ooh, Madison, you start because I need to think about this one.
Yeah, definitely come to your orientation sessions, go through that NSO 100 class, try your best to finish your checklist, definitely. I'm trying to think. One of the biggest things is I wouldn't try not to come with any expectations from movie and films of what college is, because it's definitely a different experience, and your experience is what you make of it. So come with a good attitude, just be prepared but not overly prepared, because everything will change last minute.
Emily,
I
what
will say, oh,
go ahead.
I'll go ahead and say that definitely come with an open mind is great advice. It'll be hard when you see other people, like your friends from high school, going to different schools, because I know different schools have different move-in dates, and that was something that was like weird for me as I was seeing them go through certain things or like join clubs or before I was even at school, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But definitely just try to come with an open mind and utilize your group meetings that you're in, make friends off of the Facebook and Instagram pages. Just try and make connections, because that'll make your transition a lot easier, knowing that you have people that you're going to meet as opposed to just going into it. But don't worry if you don't know anybody either, because you'll also make friends when you move in. So either way, just be yourself.
I think for me, one of the things I always stress to new students is to start having conversations with your families now about their expectations of communication. While it seems great now that we're all kind of quarantined up together and we spend a lot of time together and maybe we've all bonded as a family, it's great, but it may also set some unrealistic expectations for families about how you want to communicate with them once you get to campus. So I think it's time now to start having those conversations with your family and say, okay, I would like to communicate once a day, or I would like to communicate, by email daily, but maybe phone on Sundays. Whatever that barrier is for you, come to a common agreement with your family and talk through that, because I think disconnect can cause more confusion and frustration on both ends, or too much communication can cause frustration on your end. So I think just start that conversation up front, be honest with where you're at, and ask your families to be honest too. And so come together and find that middle ground for, what's best and how you should communicate and how often. Hope, do you have anything?
I would say one thing that I struggled with is if you are one to kind of go around situations, like someone is doing something that bothers you and it's someone you see often, be it your roommate, a classmate, study partner, don't be afraid to tell them. Come with an open mind, but also come with the confidence to say when something is bothering you. Be sure to know what is okay with you and what isn't.
I would agree. I think we have a lot of conversations about being a good bystander, and what that means as a Wingate family member. And so we'll talk more about that, like once you arrive on campus, and your RAs will talk a lot about that. But that's something that I agree totally. Hope that we're a family at Wingate and we look out for each other. And so being a good bystander is something we practice what we preach. All right. That's all the questions we got submitted. Are there any more questions in the chat, Madison?
I just got that one.
Okay. We'll pause for a minute.
Any questions? Anything?
All right. Well, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. Again, this will be put up on YouTube so that you can go back and watch it later if you have any other questions. We'll host these throughout the summer, so keep the questions coming. Email us at orientation@wingate.edu if we can do anything to help you. So thanks for coming and have a good night.